What's up guys, JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another video. So this is a series that is a throwback. Basically, back in the day when I first got on YouTube, Mood616 used to do a video series called 10 and 10. He did a bunch of volumes of these. He eventually abandoned that series and I picked it up for a short while on my channel and did my own version of it, simply just copied what he did. And I abandoned it, but I thought it'd be nice to do a new one, that they're fun to do. And honestly, I have a bunch of stuff to review that I just hadn't recorded videos for, and instead of flooding you guys with review videos, which seems to be your least favorite of my videos that I do is reviews, I figured I would compact them all into one video. And also, honestly, some of these films I watched a few weeks ago and they're a little rusty in my head, so I figure shorter reviews would probably benefit both you guys, since I wouldn't start rambling, and benefit me for not making myself look dumb by rambling. So we're gonna start the clock here in a second. Basically 10 reviews in about 10 minutes, and I'm gonna try to get it done. So starting right now, first up here guys, we have Get Out. And Get Out is a film that I actually saw in the theater. This one was sent to me courtesy of Universal Pictures. Follows a black male who's dating this white girl, and he goes to meet her family. All kind of stuff happens. There's a ton of like subtextual social commentary in this film. It's one of the more socially relevant films, especially mainstream horror films, to ever be made, and especially in today's times. I initially loved this movie when I seen it, and I even loved it more after I had rewatched it, and sort of after I read some articles online about all these different things, like the girl that's eating the cereal, and like what, how there's like a symbolic moment in that, and there's tons of symbolism in this film, and it actually bumped up my rating. So I initially came in at a 9, and I'm gonna change my rating to a 9.5. Absolutely amazing movie. Check out Get Out. It's definitely a front runner for the film of the year. After that, we have Donnie Darko. This is an Arrow edition here, and I actually did own a 4-disc edition of Donnie Darko on Blu-ray. It's one of the few like non-horror films that I owned. Basically follows a kid and his struggles with his emotional problems as he meets this girl in his little town, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Gyllenhaal, I don't know. And there's this creepy ass rabbit on here. It has to do with time travel. It's a very not on the nose film. Like, you really have to pay attention. It was years after I seen this film a bunch of times that I finally feel like I understand the movie completely, but I've always been a huge fan of it. Arrow put out a fantastic edition of it here. Donnie Darko is an absolute classic, and I give it a 10 out of 10. It is not a horror film per se, but it's definitely very dark and has horror film elements. After that, we have another film here from Arrow Video, and we have Brain Damage. This is a Frank Henenlotter film. We reviewed it on the podcast for Henenlotter Director's Spotlight 2, where we covered Brain Damage and a few of his other films, not Basket Case. We did Basket Case before too. Anyway, this film follows a dude who begins to be plagued by this like parasite that is like drug inducing, named Elmer. And man, dude, this movie looks amazing on Blu-ray. It has like such a almost like comic book / like dream nightmare vibe. There's a lot of like nightmare logic in it, very much like an acid trip. I absolutely love this movie. I actually liked it way more this time. Not way more, but I liked it a lot when I seen it the first time, but seeing it this time, it just all like clicked for me, man. I was just really into it, and I absolutely was blown away by it. I actually going to raise my rating from, I believe, an 8 to an 8.5. It's not a huge jump, but I feel like this film is one that I'll like more and more the more that I watch it. And Henenlotter, this is his best film, and this Arrow version, definitely check it out. Arrow hooked me up with that copy, and I couldn't be more ecstatic to have it in my collection. After that, here we have a film that came to me from Well Go USA, and it is The Tunnel. This is a South Korean film. It runs quite a lengthy time. It's over 2 hours, and this movie follows a man who's on his way home or to a business meeting or something when a tunnel that was freshly built collapses on him. and basically it's a survival horror flick. It's heavy on the survival, and the horror comes from that primal fear of death and dying in a way like this. I absolutely love this movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and the performances are great. The story goes in a way that I really wasn't expecting. I mean, it's a pretty linear story, but just there was way more to it than I was expecting, essentially. And this movie is, you know, so claustrophobic and uncomfortable, and there's even a lot of like comedy in it, like this social commentary on like media that actually kind of works, which, you know, it's not too in the film. It can feel a little crowbarred in at times, but I think that it's, you know, a culture type thing that the you know, Asians, South Korean filmmakers sometimes put into their films, and it actually works in this one. So 9 out of 10 for The Tunnel. Very, very, very good film. If you haven't seen that, you can get it for cheap. I definitely recommend picking it up. After that, we have a title that was sent to me from Intervision, and it is Dark Harvest. It is a 90s shot on video film, and I absolutely really, really, really enjoyed this movie. I'm not going to talk about it too much because there's really not a whole lot to say. It is a movie that follows a group of people who are in the desert, and there's killer scarecrows. I personally have always loved shot on video films. Like, everyone that I see, I absolutely enjoy. And it's weird for me because typically I don't like what I would consider bad movies, you know, bad camera work, bad sound, bad dialogue, but something about the do-it-yourself nature of these films just has this overwhelming, charming nature to it that just makes me smile and just be happy that these people went out there and made a movie, you know, with no money. And it's different from the indie films that we get today. There was something different about these films that came out in the late 80s and early 90s. Dark Harvest, I'm going to give it a 4.5, but don't let that rating fool you. You either like these type of movies or you don't. I loved it, and I can't say that it's a good movie, but, you know, if you know what you're getting into and you like these type of movies, it's awesome. After that, we have Dead or Alive, and this is the trilogy here from Arrow. I did not watch Dead or Alive 2 or 3, but I gotta say, man, this movie is insane. Like, it starts off, the opening credits, like, the opening, like, scenes to this film is just batshit weird, man. I was like, what the hell am I watching? And the film is even more confusing as time goes on. I had a hard time following this one, but I was entertained by it the entire time. And the ending is just like, it's a complete head-scratcher moment. If you've never seen Dead or Alive, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is not a horror film, but it is, I don't even know what they call these. It's like a crime type of thing, like the mafia. I don't know. It's weird. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. After that, I have a couple from Umbrella Entertainment here, and we have Electric Boogaloo and Machete Maidens Unleashed. So these documentaries were both made by the same director, Mark Hartley, and this guy also made Ozploitation, The Untold History of Ozploitation. Absolutely love that documentary. Both of these are very solid. Machete Maidens was made first, and that's a film that basically documents the history of film shot in the Philippines back in the 70s and 80s, and I think even the 60s. And man, dude, there's not a whole lot of horror covered there, but the like women in prison films and the like exploitation films are endless. They even get into like a mainstream film like Apocalypse Now. I could not believe the stuff that was going on in these films. And I gotta say, guys, even though, you know, the movies were like bad and stuff like that, a lot of the movies were considered bad, they all look super fun. Like the stuff that they were doing, it's just insane. Like, you just have to see it to believe it. Electric Boogaloo, Story of Canon Films, very, very interesting documentary as well. It was one of my favorite films of 2015, I believe. Great release from Umbrella here. After that, as we're getting short on time here, we have Idle Hands coming to us from Umbrella. This movie is an awesome 90s comedy. I was not expecting a whole lot out of it. It's about a dude who gets his hand possessed and it kills his parents, and he has his stoner buddies. He's like a complete slacker. The comedy works in the film so well. I think that a lot of these late 90s films are finally starting to get like that nostalgic vibe where you almost appreciate them and respect them a little bit more. And sort of, you know, the time has passed long enough, you know, going on like 20 years for some of these films, that you really sort of get them a little bit more. And that is what is happening with me with some of these late 90s flicks. Absolutely adored Idle Hands. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a very fun movie. After that, we have my number 7 horror film of 2016. We have The Autopsy of Jane Doe, coming to us from courtesy of Umbrella Entertainment. I absolutely loved this movie. It follows a father and son coronary team. I don't know, the guys who like slice open the bodies, morticians, I guess, and you know, do the autopsies and stuff. And basically, this girl's brought in late at night, this Jane Doe, and the cops are like, look, we need to know what the hell happened to her. And like then there's all these weird mysterious things about the body, like her lungs are burnt, but there's no smoke, you know, trails in her nostrils or anything like that, and her like organs are sliced, but like there's no entry wounds, stuff like that. It's really bizarre, and a lot of people talk about how the end wasn't really what they wanted and it kind of goes downhill. I don't really think so. The end was good for me, and I actually didn't see, you know, the results coming, you know, the reveal or whatever. So I'm gonna give this film, I forget what I gave it. I think I gave it an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. I have to recheck my rating, but I think it was like a 8 out of 10. After that, finally, as we're about a minute over, we have Inquisition. This is a Paul Naschy film. This one was sent to me courtesy of Mondo Macabro. This is my first Mondo besides the one that Derek sent me. Sorry for forgetting that, Derek. This movie was awesome, dude. It reminded me a lot of Witchfinder General. It takes place in 16th century France, and it has to do with the witch trials, and it follows a guy who is investigating a Witchfinder General, and it just has like a great level of like sleaziness to it, but also in a decent story. And I actually really like this movie. I love that 16th century witch hunt era, and Witchfinder General was like one of my favorite movies from Vincent Price. It's probably my favorite performance by him, and this film feels like a perfect partner film with Witchfinder General. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one an 8 out of 10. Very solid stuff. So I hope you enjoyed me covering 10 films in, actually 11 films in 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Never these things go the right amount of time, but they're always fun to do. And if you guys want to see more of these like quick cut reviews, let me know, because I'll stockpile some more reviews and then I'll just unload them on you guys. Less work for me, honestly, you know, because making those thumbnails and all that stuff, you know what I mean? Plus, you know, I like to cover a lot of this stuff on the podcast as well. But for you guys on the YouTube channel, if you prefer them in single individual reviews, let me know. I'll do it that way too. So see you guys next time. Peace.